So let's welcome our guests for today. I have Mathias and I also have William coming all the way from Denmark for the film Sauna to screen in Hong Kong. Welcome to Hong Kong.
Thank you.
How is it so far? I know you're not just doing Hong Kong, right?
Yeah, we landed in Beijing on Monday.
Okay.
And then we were there showing the movie at the Danish embassy. And then 2 days later we went to Shanghai, showed the movie at the Danish consulate, and now we're here in Hong Kong.
Oh wow! Yeah. How's this trip so far?
It's been crazy. It's been amazing.
Yeah, we've had the China tour for us because it's the first time we're here.
Okay.
And we've got to meet other queer Chinese people in Beijing and Shanghai, and also got to learn about the challenges that they have.
Okay.
So it's actually quite interesting to then come to Hong Kong and see that we can actually show the film in public.
Okay.
And we can have a totally different public vibe around it.
Yeah, that was actually what I was wondering, because China, like comparatively, it's more conservative, like Beijing, Shanghai, compared to Hong Kong. So the screening is probably different from how we're doing it here in Hong Kong, right?
Yeah, I mean, we weren't able to screen it outside of the consulate and the embassy.
Oh.
And we also couldn't do like a public invitation for people, so it would be the embassy that would like reach out to people that they know from
the queer communities.
Oh.
To also connect them and make them like show and do something for them.
Okay. Okay. So I guess being here in Hong Kong with the film festival going on, it's more open and more, you could get to meet the public and so let's talk about the film Sauna. I know that the film itself is based on a book, like we talked about earlier. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about the creative process, how you adapted, and the whole like production.
Well, it actually started out by the producer reading the book.
Okay.
And then that came out in, I think in 2015 maybe or something, a little later.
2021 actually.
2021,
okay. Yeah.
You know that. Yeah, it's a really good book written by this guy called Mads who is a queer activist in Denmark. And yes, and then the producer Mads, who's also called Mads August, he reached out to Mathias.
Okay.
Who reached out to me, and then we started working on it. Yeah,
and the whole process has taken 3.5 years.
Okay.
From like the first meeting to the national premiere in Denmark.
Yeah.
And I have been working in the Danish film industry for quite some time, but never felt like I could see myself in the movies, and I couldn't see our community and our friends.
Yeah.
And I figured that we have so many very important stories to tell. So we were like, okay, let's do a movie where we can actually get the possibility to get them on the big screen.
Okay.
So that was why we started the project. And then you started, and I started as well, developing and adapting from book to screen.
Okay.
Screenwriting.
Yeah, which was, I think, that part of it, I guess it's very different from time to time, but the book was, I think, the story, the like basis of the story was something that we wanted to keep.
Yeah.
But Mads and then the author was very, he was very, what's it called?
Trustful.
He was very trustful. Yeah, he trusted us with the material and said that we should do what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
So we were we knew that we wanted to make it into our like queer community, because Mads is from another one. So it's very like contemporary queer Copenhagen, with also a lot of our friends and local icons that are in the movie. And yeah, then so the process with that wasn't that easy, that difficult. But I think maybe what's could be interesting to say was that I think we in the beginning had a lot of doubts and insecurities about portraying a trans character, because since we're not any of us are trans.
Yeah.
So that was something that we worked a lot on in the first couple of scripts and in the start of the process, to kind of talk about how do you portray a trans character when you're not yourself. And in the movie, the main character Johan is not trans, so it's kind of like seen from his perspective, which I think was something that helped us. And also we had a lot of consultants working with them and talking with them who were trans people themselves. Yeah.
And it's also the first time that there's a trans person playing a trans character in a leading role in a Danish film. So we also, I mean, you can look back into like the film history of Danish movies, but you don't have a lot to rely on. So you need to also figure out how you do it and want to do it. And then my partner started transitioning while we were doing the film, actually developing. So that also became sort of a way to connect it to something personal.
Okay. Was it difficult to actually adapt from the book and also doing your research, because as you said, there's not a lot of reference to rely on?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the last part, you know, it's I guess it's a blessing and a curse in a way, because since there are not a lot of stories to lean on in a way, that makes it more like you're more in the dark in a way. But then again, it also makes it much more open, you know. There's not so many
boundaries? Or?
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's you're more kind of like, you're not as biased, you know, and you're not as like, you don't have a lot of different portrayals that you kind of lean on. So it's something that you have to make yourself. And obviously, I mean, we also lean on a lot of not characters, you know, but people that we know,
And Mathias, if you don't mind me asking, because you also mentioned that your partner is transitioning, maybe you could tell us a little bit or share some of your personal experience with us on this?
Yeah, I think, I mean, when your partner is transitioning, you're also transitioning.
Right.
So I also had to go through a process, and I'm still in that process, but then making the film was such a beautiful experience to then, you know, come to office every day, meet William, have a coffee, chat about some doubts, about some new exciting things, maybe some situations where I would have felt like I didn't belong in the new place that she belongs. So you know, it's like suddenly you have to find common ground again in the relationship when just, you know, just completely basic, like normally you would go to the changing room together. Now it's like, do you go to my changing room or the other changing room? And then you split up, and then suddenly there will be spaces at parties where I'm not allowed. Or we went to Whole Festival, which is like this big queer festival in Berlin, where, you know, there will be sex spaces, explorative sex spaces where it's only for men. Where it's only for men, where then suddenly she doesn't feel so welcome. But we used to attend those spaces together. She can now attend separate spaces that I'm not allowed in. So all of those experiences also spilled into our film, and the film is so much about who gets access to what space, who has which and what privileges, and that goes for, you know, both in terms of sexuality, gender, economic status. Like, we've tried to sort of make that theme complex and meeting.
Because as you were talking about this experience, I relate to one of my friends. He has the exact same situation as you. His partner is considering to transition, but not so sure. And then my friend himself, he is in question, in doubt, like how it's going to work, how it's going to be. So I guess eventually, as we get in touch with more transgender issues, it might, you know, help some people go through that process.
Yeah, and I think also that's why it's so important to make movies like this. And even though, like, it's not, this movie is not trying to glorify anything. It's basically just trying to show a life and a process and a relation. It's a love story, as like, that's how we've worked with it. It's like primarily a love story. And then underneath that, it's a story about identity, of course. And then third is like a portrait of the queer community. And it's also a portrait of like a character or characters trying to find a place to belong.
Okay.
So that was sort of the 1, 2, 3 division we did to sort of have a focus on how do we do promotion around the film, how do we develop the film, so it's a good way to see it like that. But I think therefore, you know, we're not trying to glorify the trans experience, we're just trying to show it as it is.
Okay.
And then I think you can, if you're a person in that situation where your partner is transitioning or you're transitioning yourself, you can actually see this movie and maybe feel seen in some of the situations that the characters are going through.
Yeah, I think also that to add to that, you know, we just in the beginning, as I said a little bit about earlier, we had a lot of like doubts about how do we do this, and we eventually, you know, we just kind of came around and to kind of realize that at the end of the day, it's a character like anyone else. They have like their flaws, they have their it's I mean, it sounds so stupid to even say it, you know, but obviously they're humans and they have feelings like everyone else, and that's what we're here to portray. And then obviously then also portray the situation that is unique, you know. And I think one of my biggest takeaways from making my first feature film has been, so actually a lot from the editing process, was that realizing that everything is psychology. And the more we get to understand the characters' individual psychologies, we can navigate where they should go. And I didn't have that experience before, so it's going to be really exciting to see. We're working on a new project together, me and William, so it's going to be quite exciting to see like all the things we've learned so far. How can we like weave that into the next project?
Okay, let's go back to the title of the movie called Sauna. To many people, sauna is like a taboo, or like it has a negative context to it. Were you afraid to use this as your movie title, or
does it have a negative connotation in
as well? Yes.
Can you describe just a bit like what because negativity is about?
Because people would only associate sex with saunas, which is basically what the function of it is, right? So I think if this film were to happen in Hong Kong, I don't think the movie maker would use this name directly as a movie name. So I'm just curious.
But it makes sense. I think it's the same in Denmark. Maybe it's getting a bit less taboo, because I think people are starting to get more and more frustrated with the apps. So there is a longing for meeting physically. So of course it's like individually how people see themselves in terms of shame and sexuality, and and if people want to go and like have sexual experiences, it can be a quite overwhelming place to go as well. So it's not a safe place at all. But I think in our story, it's also fiction, of course, but in our story, it's almost a home for the main character. So it becomes a place where he finds his old roommate, the old guy who is inviting him in to live with him in Copenhagen. And then also he finds his friend Asif, the character, who is taking him out to the cis-gay crowds in Copenhagen. So in that way it becomes sort of like a source for connecting to the community.
Or security.
And I think also, you know, a lot of queers, like they grow up in small towns, then we all do this pilgrimage to the big cities. You don't know anyone, you're quite young, where do you go?
To a sauna.
You can go to a sauna. You know?
True.
Actually, also, I've encountered many heterosexual men who are very intrigued about this.
Really?
Yeah, who are like, what is going on in that sauna? You know?
Because they don't have such thing in that community, right?
I mean, I guess they have a swingers club, but it's not. I mean, there's. But it's not like it's not the
it's
same.
Different.
You know?
It's very different.
It's not like it's such an established culture in gay.
Right. Yes.
Like in gay culture to have saunas, and I think not only as men, I think also women. You know, I think that there is such a freedom to the gay saunas,
Yeah,
you know, and there's such a liberation, you know, to just go out and have sex with who you want to, you know. And,
but we're also not idolizing it in the movie, because we're actually problematizing it quite a lot, because I think one of the comments we really wanted to make in the film is that the sexualization and like our old heritage from cruising from the 80s and before that even, when everything was sort of more hidden and had to be a bit more in secrecy, like that, I think that has grounded in our way of behaving in terms of sexuality and in terms of like behaving between each other. And then we do forget sometimes that we're actually dealing with human beings and not just bodies. And I think it would be, I think the ideal sauna would be a place where you could go feel safe and sexy at the same time and have sex with whoever you wanted to have sex with, but also, you know, have a really good conversation and maybe have a cup of coffee and get a new contact on a friend, you know, and then you can give them a blowjob, you know, it's like
But Johan does that, you know, also, in the movie. He does get all those nice things, and, but he also uses it sometimes in a self-destructive way. And I think that's what you're saying, right? That there's a lot of like in gay community, in gay culture, there's a lot of sex that might be self-destructive in a way, you know?
Okay.
Which I think is also important to talk about. And a lot of loneliness also.
And the first scene you see Johan, the main character, he has just had sex with a guy, and he asks him if he wants to stay over, and then he's just leaving. And I think that's sort of like the core of his emotional landscape. It's like, I just want someone to like hold me for the night. And like, it's not because I want to have a boyfriend, I just want some intimacy. And he can't find that. And I think that's a very universal search for many people. And I mean, he looks very much like a very Scandinavian boy next door kind of thing, but still, even he has like, he gets boxed too. He has a hard time as well. And I think that's also sometimes a scary part of the queer community, is that it seems like there's only one body that is like glorified. And how do we open up to glorifying more diverse bodies? And for me, that's why the intimacy scenes are so interesting, because I had never seen a trans masc body with scars from the top up together with a cisgendered gay guy, and how would that look? And we got a really interesting question in Beijing for the Q&A, where one of the audience members were like, "Oh, but can these two people actually be attracted to each other?" And that just it was in a way quite interesting, because of course, but it's because we never see these bodies together. So the more and more we will be exposed to it, the more natural it will be.
Okay. Finally, what do you want the audience to have a takeaway from this movie?
Well, I think that's actually not a bad suggestion. Just, you know, for some people it will maybe be the first time to kind of get an idea of how a trans life looks like. But also, I guess we also just, you know, maybe want them to cry a little bit, like go out and cry a little bit, and just like experience a love story, you know, and just I don't know what they call it, the characters.
And it's really important for us to connect to a bigger audience as well. So what we've tried to do is like, we wanted to make a film primarily for the queer community, but also wanted to make sure that people that maybe not have experiences with the queer community would also come into the cinema and be curious and be invited in to see the film. So I would also say, for people that are part of the queer community, be open to questions, be open to talking to people that might not have so much experience with these things, because it can help them build a language and then not make them so afraid of it. You know?
Even though it's always cringe. Or at least sometimes it can be cringe.
Okay. Well, thank you today, Mathias and also William, chatting with us, and hope the movie will reach more people and educate them about the queer community. Thank you very much. Thank you. See ya. Bye bye.